I want to ask you about the human side of this. Charlie Kirk was a good friend of yours. What's it been like to step into his shoes?
Well, Charlie had a lot of friends. And so, I've talked to a lot of them. I'm sure you have too. The man was ubiquitous and it's heavy. If any of your friends die, it's a deeply unpleasant thing. And when a friend is killed in such a horrific and unjust way, that adds a layer to it. But I actually found myself thinking that 60% of my grief over it actually had nothing to do with the fact that he and I were friends, because I would see grown men crying, grown men who had never met Charlie Kirk.
Hmm.
I think it goes somehow even deeper than that. The man represented something to people. He was who he seemed to be, first of all, which is sometimes rare in politics, and he represented something. And his murder represents something that's really just horrifying in the country. So there's that level. Then on another political level, he was the central figure. Charlie kept this coalition together, more so than any person other than Donald Trump, maybe. And in some ways, by the way, I think he did so more than Donald Trump, because
Hmm.
Trump sometimes picks fights with people. And Charlie did a great job of establishing the limits of what can be a respectable conservative, but allowing for wide discourse within that, supporting a lot of people all around the country. So the reason that I kickstarted the tour again one day after his memorial is because he and I were already scheduled to do an event together at the University of Minnesota. By coincidence, by providence, that was on the docket. And I flew in. A number of Charlie's friends had been filling in for his radio show. And I flew in one day last week, right after the vice president did it. And TPUSA asked me, they said, "What's happening with your event?" I said, "You tell me, it's your event, and I'll do whatever you want to do. If you want to go on with it, I would love to do it. If you don't want to go on with it, it's entirely your call." And I agreed with their decision. They said, "We have to go on with it. We have to show that we're not afraid. We have to show that the movement moves forward." So just on a personal level, it was so gratifying to see all of the students show up. There were 4,000 people who tried to get into this event. The
Hmm.
capacity in the theater was only about 2,700 or so. However, I felt I recovered quickly enough, but I did get a little choked up at the beginning. And I've only ever really gotten choked up when I give one kind of a speech, and it's a eulogy. And
Hmm.
this felt in many ways like a eulogy. So people are grieving and mourning, and they should. It's good to mourn. It's good to grieve.